Hello, today we're going to talk about why the Master Sommelier Exam from Cours Master Sommelier is so hard to pass. My name is Angie, I'm a advanced sommelier, and I am the owner and founder of angiesomm.com. So today I'm just going to share my opinion on why it is so hard to pass the Master Sommelier Exam and why so very few people have done it. The industry for sommelier has gained so much attention and grown in popularity since the documentary film Somm premiered back in 2012. In there, they talk in detail on four people's journey on becoming a master sommelier. And I do know some of them personally, and I understand the struggle myself. So here I am to share with you today why they're so tough. If you haven't watched the video already, the Master Sommelier Exam consists of three parts. The first part is theory. So theory is asking you a lot of very detailed, very esoteric question relating to wine. And one of the hardest thing I think about the master portion, because theory is in every single level of the core master sommelier, but it's extremely hard in the master level is because they no longer do it in a written format. It's actually done in a verbal interview format. You will sit in front of 2 or 3 master sommelier and they have the list of questions ready for you and they will ask it while you're sitting in front of them. So if you're not already nervous enough having to recall the information when 3 or 2 people sitting across the table from you are asking it, is very nerve-wracking. In addition to that, because the world of wine is the world of wine, they come in French, German, Spanish, Italian, and all these different languages. And we do also have an international crowd of master sommelier, and each one of them have a slight different accent, which can make it a little difficult for the candidate to understand the questions under pressure. And one of the best tips I've gotten from a master sommelier is, hey, slow down and don't get nervous if you don't understand what's being asked of you. Because of an accent, like for me, it's very difficult because I'm born and raised in Taiwan and English is already my second language. So adding on French, German, Italian, and all this other language, it gets a little overwhelming. So the tip I will give for any candidate is to ask the master to repeat the question slowly, or if there's a key word you didn't understand, ask them to spell it. Because a lot of time, what I think is pronounced in my head as I'm reading and memorizing all the material, and how the masters will pronounce it when they're asking the question is very different. So that also adds to the complexity of the theory portion of the exam. And on top of that, you are not really allowed to go back. If you can't think of the answer right away, you can say pass. But once you pass on that question, you can't really go back and go, oh, I just remembered the answer to that question 5 minutes ago and it's that. I heard you're not really allowed to go back on it. Not 100% sure because I didn't get to use that during my exam portion. And that is just one of the 3 parts. After that, you have tasting and you have service. Tasting, again, if you haven't watched the film Somm, they went into a huge extent on how that's done. You have 25 minutes and 6 wine, 3 whites and 3 reds. And again, you're sitting in front of 3 master sommeliers and you're talking the whole time and they're just taking down notes on what you think it is. And it's not just sticking your nose in a glass and say, oh yeah, I think this is a 1996 Cabernet Franc Mountain. That won't actually give you a passing score. They not only want to know that you know what a wine is, they want to know how you got there. So you do talk about how the wine look, how the wine smell, how the wine tastes, how was the structure of the wine, and because of all that, you've taste, smell, and saw in the wine, that's why you concluded that this wine is, for example, a 96 Hall Mountain Cabernet from California. So they want to hear the process. If you're doing the math correctly, like if you 4 minutes and 10 seconds per wine, not adding the time it takes for you to lift up the glass, swirl the wine, swallow a little bit of it and spitting it out. So that also is extremely difficult. So everyone have a different palate. We all have what we consider banker. So things that we're just really good at picking out. For example, I can pick out Gewürztraminer from a mile away because it smells like lychee, and I was born and raised in Taiwan, and we eat that growing up every single summer. Whereas in my American counterpart candidates, they've never had lychee in their entire life, besides maybe the syrup that's added in cocktail or the canned stuff. So to them, it doesn't come as naturally. And for me, for some reason, I have such a hard time, and what I call an Achilles heel on certain wine. I cannot smell white radish or white pepper from a Gunnar Berliner to save my life. So that's considered my Achilles heel. So there is a slight element of luck when it comes to the tasting portion. If you got lucky enough where all the wine lined up happened to be your bankers and you were performing really well that day, because don't forget, we're all human. We all have our good palate day and our bad palate day, in addition to the fact that we have our bankers and our Achilles heel. So if you are taking the test on the day where your palate is on point and you happen to hit a few of your banker wines, you can pass much easier than if you kind of got a little unlucky and is one of your off day on your palate and you got all the wines that's in your Achilles heel. So that's another element that makes this test really hard. And the last element is the service portion. Again, you're doing this in front of a master sommelier and there's different table. Essentially, you are pretending that you're working in a restaurant where the customer will ask you questions that will never be asked if you're actually working in a restaurant, because no customer ever asks you a question as detailed as they would in the master sommelier exam. So again, you're nervous, but you are asked to perform, answer question, and perform at the same time. So it makes it really hard. And then to me, in addition to all three of these portions are already really hard individually, I also think the reason why they say it's harder than the bar exam for lawyers is because when it comes to the bar exam, it's a memorization game. It's all theory. And so the theory portion of this test, it is all memorization, right? All being able to recall and memorize information. That takes the one side of your brain. The people who are really good book smart sometimes are not really street smart. So I have some personal friend of mine who's taken the master exam very many times, that they're really strong in this theory because they're built that way, right? None of us are perfect. They're built that way that they're really good at remembering information, but they get really nervous when they have to perform, which is kind of the street smart part. So I think it takes a lot of self-work and self-development in order to run yourself up to become someone who is not only good at memorization and also can perform under pressure. Both your left and right brain have to be working at the optimal level for you to be able to pass this Master Sommelier exam, which is why it's one of the most prestigious tests in the entire world. And I have all the utmost respect for every single Master Sommelier who went through the journey and got their certification. So with that said, I hope it explained a little bit more in detail on why this exam is so difficult. If you like the video or you find it useful, please hit that like button and feel free to share the video with your friends. If you have any question, please feel free to leave a comment below, and don't forget to subscribe to my mailing list on angiesom.com, where you'll get a weekly recap on all the wine videos I made that week, and you'll get really awesome wine deal periodically as well. Thank you so much for watching. Live and drink passionately.